Ben Gavelda here with TransWorld SNOWboarding. I have the Capita Outsiders snowboard. This is a winner in our Goodwood Park snowboard test. And the Outsiders, I'll tell you a little bit about this board. It's a regular camber, but it's a pretty mellow camber, not like super aggressive, not a whole lot of rise. Kind of the idea was bringing back a traditional camber snowboard just because of the control and the pop you get out of those things. It's pretty unmatched with just that whole design. But what Capita kind of sought to do was, you know, get those benefits of a cambered board, but make it a little bit more forgiving, a little bit easier to ride. So that's why that camber is pretty mellow. It's not a whole lot of rise, and also the contact points here just have a little bit of rocker, a little bit of flat kind of section. So what that does is that just kind of takes some of the pressure off the tips. You know, just kind of a classic cambered snowboard. There's a lot of pressure on your contact points here, which can be a little squirrely sometimes if you're just a little off. You know, you'll catch your edge and slam. But this thing is pretty sweet. It just, those tips really do kind of that blend zone in the tips really helps loosen up the ride just a little bit, but it doesn't you know, wash out or give away all those awesome benefits of camber. A little bit about the core profile of this board is really consistent. You don't have a lot of core milling going on. It's just a consistent taper, you know, from the center out, and that gives you a really solid feel, a really consistent feel throughout the board. It's really stiff between the feet. That's something I noticed when I rode it. Part of that stiffness comes from the carbon fiber in this board. So it has carbon fiber, just kind of stringers that go tip to tail, about here to here on each side. And what that does is really helps you with some pop. Helps you kind of put down some landings. This has a really stiff, you know, area to set things down or to load things up. It also really helps hold some of that edge hold, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. Torsional flex, you know, so you still get a little bit of torsional flex out of this thing, even though there's that carbon fiber. That carbon fiber really is just there for pop and some stability. A few other things with the fiberglass layup in this board. It has a biax and a triax weave of glass. So what that means is the biax is just a two-way at 90 degrees, kind of two-way weave, which is kind of a really soft and forgiving layup of fiberglass. And then it also has a triax weave on the bottom. So the bottom layer of fiberglass is a three-way weave. So that is just a little more responsive in general. So that top part is going to be a little bit softer, a little bit more forgiving and flexible. And that bottom is really going to hold up a little bit more to the chatter and the speeds and the landings that you kind of put this thing through. A few other details on the Capita Outsiders. It has a beechwood stringers along the edges, so that's just a denser wood overall, and what that does is just kind of give you a little bit more control along the edges, holds up to a little bit more impact, and just kind of transfers, you know, the power that you have when you're trying to drive that snowboard to the edge, and that's your contact point on the board. Lastly, it has a wax infused base, so that wax is going to just kind of stay in that base a little bit more, keep it slick in the park if you're not waxing your board a whole lot. And there you have it, the Capita Outsiders. Pretty aggressive park board, and 2014-2015 TransWorld Goodwood winner.